huge amount of traffic, Google ranks them typically quite high for job titles, which is one of the ways that, one of the major ways actually people look for jobs. Therefore, you get all this traffic coming onto your job because 3, 4, 5, 6 aggregators have actually taken that job and posted that job on their aggregator job board. One of the ways that we countered this is to actually provide feeds to the aggregators. The aggregators, there's a cost involved with going out and spidering websites and other job boards. So for them, the easiest way is to actually get a feed directly from you and actually send traffic on to your career site directly. So one of the ways that we can counter that is actually set up a feed that feeds jobs up onto the aggregator, and that way you can actually control which ones you want to send on to them and which ones you don't. And on top of that, you can actually then track the response. So we can actually obtain Google Analytics tags automatically on the fly by the feed. So we can actually know how many people actually come onto your website through the aggregators, which you wouldn't know because the aggregators typically send traffic onto a job board. So that traffic would be masked by the actual job board, which sort of sits in the middle. So one way of actually seeing whether a job board and some aggregator actually works for you or not is actually by sending them to jobs directly.
I've got a question. Oh, sorry. Do you know?
No,
I guess so. You know, when everyone kind of goes back to the office and stuff later, what's the one key thing that they could do, you know, easily that could, you know, attach into the kind of flowchart, as it were? What's the key thing that they can do when they go back that will say, okay, so this is how many people are coming in, or this is where they're going?
Most people here have a website that would have some sort of analytics package on them. Probably 99% of you guys. There's one company that doesn't, but most have some sort of analytics package. Well, Google Analytics, it might be Web Trends, it might be Omniture, it might be Unicode, and it might be something that is installed, has been installed by your IT team or by your marketing team. Get them to explain to you what those reports all mean. And there's one way of getting that information quite easily is to give them goals. Web analysts don't want to just spew data out and just give you nice little printed reports in Excel. If you give them a goal, just set yourself a goal, they'll be a lot more excited about giving you the data that means something to you. No point in actually just doing the data dump of actually, you know, every single report segment analysis that, you know, analytics software can actually spew out. If you give your web analyst, if you for a large enough company, a goal of what to track, and give them something to track, give them something to work towards. So if you've got a particular campaign that is coming up, then tell them, this is what I want to track. These are my goals. This is what I want to. This is what I want to achieve with this, you know, with the next campaign that I'm running. Well, you know, more often than not, they'll be more than happy to help. Second thing is actually go speak to your ATS, so your applicant tracking system. How can I pass parameters on to you? How can I integrate my marketing campaigns with you? See how they respond to that. If they respond to that, whether I'll come back to you. Or
give us a call. Because this is the soapbox that we have, is about the level of service that people do or don't get from applicant tracking systems. And sometimes, basically, you're paying for a service, and that service should include understanding how it's working. And yet, more often than not, we hear sort of questions about, well, it's taken a while, I've asked them, but I don't really get much, I don't really understand it. You're paying for it. If you walked into a lawyer, and paid a lawyer, and they say, oh, I'll come back to you in a few days, you wouldn't pay them, would you? And so, you know, as clients, our message to clients is you need to become a firm, and if they're giving the runaround, then come to us, go to your agency and say, talk to my ATS, this is the data that I want.
I mean, Andy, on that point, this has been a 14-year backlog about the ATS.
I have to say it's getting better.
Is there a list of ATSs that are what I would call tracking friendly? Because I'll publish it. But no, believe me, it should be part of any
Well,
client
actually,
as part of their RTF. You should actually say, do you do this?
You're absolutely right, and we have had experience of applicant track systems like iSIMS where they've been extremely helpful, actually implemented tracking tags within 3-4 days, being the most helpful ATS that I've ever seen, and actually all the way down to another particular ATS which says every time that you send me a new source, you have to pay me. So every time that I set up a new website that I actually post my jobs on, I have to set it up as a source within my applicant tracking system, and you have to pay me X. So that means that already I'm limited to the sources that I can actually send on to you. So it goes all the way from the most technically friendly ATS all the way down to actually the most difficult that is just incredibly silly. There's no way that you can actually set up a campaign and track it and measure it in a proper way, where every time that you have to set up a source within the ATS, actually you have to pay an X amount of money, an extra amount of money.
But it's also not just about the ATS, it's about the people you're doing and the contract that you've got with them. I mean, sometimes I said the ATS, they're going to make money as well. I mean, everyone's looking to make money. It's a recession, and the last thing they want to do is kind of lose clients. But the reality is sometimes they spent a lot of time, they've worked out a cost model, invested in a framework that you've kind of collectively agreed to. But that doesn't mean there are no workarounds. And that's the other thing. Sometimes the question is sort of, can I do this? And the answer is just no. Rather than, well, how can I do this? I want to be able to understand, measure kind of cost per half from different sources. How do we get around that? And it's not easy. It does take a lot of conversations. And that's another thing I was talking about the planning side of things, is to set it up properly requires time and effort. But the value starts paying off very quickly once you have those metrics in place.
That's why I talked about 3 solutions, and it really depends on how easy it is to integrate with your ATS. So at the very least, you should implement some sort of analytics software on your website, and then that will let you measure clicks onto a line, and that will start to give you an extra metric on top of what maybe you don't have now, which is actually intention to fly. The next is to add tracking beacons all the way onto the thank you for your application page, and that for an ATS is extremely easy to do. The answer to can I do this should have been known categorically. That would at least give you the number of applications by source and by medium. And then, obviously, the Holy Grail is to actually pass some value results and relevant results there according to where the applicant has come from, and the ATS actually understanding and recording that information. So, depending on how easy and friendly your ATS is, you've got several options to actually start recording the data.
My question's around social media. You mentioned earlier that you see social media as perhaps less effective than you think it might be. What do you see the role of things like Facebook and Twitter being? Are they a referral source? Are they for brand awareness? Or are they something to keep candidates engaged once you've got them in?
I'm platform agnostic. I actually, in this particular, I have this a source for debate in the office, and I do have a view. But when it comes to tracking, when it comes to tracking and measurement, actually, we are looking at how much traffic does it send on the website and when, and what do those people do when they damage your website. So it could work with actually the landing website, you don't but at least we know because we've tracked them. At the moment, you don't even know that. So it's a source of traffic like any other source of traffic, but then you can track. So one little thing that you might have heard, which is called retargeting, and there's several ad-serving companies that let you push an advert on to certain people that have come onto your website and have done certain things and other things. So for example, somebody's come onto your website because of a tweet and actually what they've done is actually landed on the website, gone on to click apply, but then haven't applied, then we can actually serve them advertising to remind them that actually we have a particular job for you, then that's engagement.
So I mean, the metrics and sort of job posting and the whole sort of ad serving model has become much more complex. It used to be that there was just the reports based on the last ad seen. So when you have quite a complex journey, I see a press there, I drive along, I see a message posted, very engaging, I talk to someone in the pub, I do this as well. But if I can click on the banner, then the reports used to say, well, banner must be the thing that drives it. Actually, you can set sort of intelligent frameworks up now to allow some non-light return. And the model's constantly changing, but there's a number of things that we can and can't measure. Effectively, you've got two things. You've got digital communications and you've got human communications, and that's it. And most of the digital stuff now we can track, but we can and then we can optimize things like optimize. You can do some very clever things around optimization, which then lead to a question around: do we actually have a choice, or are we just being manipulated? Because, for example, we can in your user journey change the advertising that we're serving you depending on your response. So we can actually take you on a journey over a period of time without you realising we're being taken on a journey.
You can actually change the landing pages, so if somebody's come on the fly as well, which is something which Google Analytics does quite well. So we can actually understand that somebody's coming from Facebook, they come from Twitter. So for example, if they come from Twitter, we can actually have a live person there with a widget on the left-hand side, for example, and actually ask them whether they found all the information that they need to find, for example. And there's another level of engagement within sort of social media sphere. But then that starts to become quite I wouldn't say complicated, but definitely sort of a lot of customization there that would probably not for other people that some people would. Definitely when we talk about Facebook and tweets and LinkedIn groups and status updates, we can definitely track why the things campaign tags, how many people actually arrive. And then once you've set up a goal, if they've come from that particular source, you know that they've behaved in a certain way on the website, and we can look at all those metrics that we've looked at. And we can definitely assign some values to them. And we can call them, we can what we call bucket the target audience, and we can put them in a nice little Facebook bucket and actually look at how they behave, and then we can target the content on the website according to that.
So this sounds all really great, right? So the cost model's changed.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to us a bit about how the cost model's changed, because if you go, I place an ad in the Times and it costs me 10 grand, and then I get X hundred candidates, and that was like the old school days. Now you see these kind of, I don't know, it's like for you guys, but you see these costs come through from the ad agency. There's some, you talked about a third for planning, a third for optimization. That's to people who've been involved in this sort of sporadically over the years. They look at that and go, well, that's not 10 grand on an advert. What are you charging me for? This seems ridiculous. What are you doing? Where's this money going? You must get that every day, right?
Can I comment as someone who uses it?
Yeah.
We implemented this 4 to 5 years ago with HODAS. We've reduced our spend by about 40%.
So what's the journey you go on to do that though? Because you don't
you're spending money on the Times ad and things like that, and you don't have an idea really what your return is.
Yeah.
Because someone will come in and say, oh, I applied through the Times ad, but really they didn't. They applied through this or another channel. So you're not getting accurate information from your candidates, even if you continue to ask them. So you're spending money on things that you don't know that are working. Some do, some don't. And so by implementing this, although there is a cost to doing it, you're getting 100% accuracy. The candidate says Monster, but it's actually Total Jobs, or it's actually another provider. You're getting absolute accuracy. So there is a cost to it, but the money that you're saving by not buying media that's not working for your particular brand outweighs it. And as I said, we've cut our advertising spend about 40%.
Does that help?